Rachel, thank you so much for being here with us today. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. It's wonderful to be back.
You are so welcome. Now, what inspired you to begin this journey and say, I'm going to become a coach?
Great question. It had nothing to do with coaching. It had to do with, I went to the US for 6 months and worked at a summer camp for kids with neurological differences. And that actually inspired me to want to make a bigger impact in the world. So that's my giant why, is to go and help kids with neurological differences.
Wow.
And my pathway there was then through coaching. I remember I got back and I literally Googled, what do those people who speak on stage do?
You
And
wrote that into Google?
I literally wrote that into
That's so
Google.
cool. I love that.
And life coaching came up, and that's where I found ICI.
Wow, that's awesome. So I imagine it would have been pretty amazing to go and work with kids that have special needs, that are needing extra support. Was that the first moment that you had kind of like I guess like feel like you had a calling to do that type of work, or had you always been, thinking, I want to make more of a difference, I want to make more of an impact?
I'd always had the feeling of there's something bigger for me in the world, but I
Right.
didn't know what that was. I didn't
Yeah.
know how that was going to eventuate.
Yeah.
And that was the first instance of, it was actually the first instance of saying yes to myself instead of buying into what everyone else wanted me to do.
Yeah.
Um, and so I went on the journey, and it was, yeah, really what inspired me to go, maybe I can do something bigger than what I was doing.
I really love how you just language something, how you said that it was the first time that you said yes to yourself, and for you that was to in a way like listen to the calling that maybe there's something bigger for you instead of listening to what everyone else wanted you to do. And I know, like, I can relate to that. I think so many people will relate to that, that through life we've got pressure from people saying, why don't you get a safe job, or this is what your uncle did, or this is what you should do in today's climate. And like, I remember when I first became a coach, everyone was like, what are you doing? Like, what is this? Everyone was concerned because no one knew what it was,
Yeah.
and they're just like, what do you mean, coach? And so when you did that and you said yes to yourself, and you said it was the first time, was it scary? Was it like, oh, were you doubting yourself in those moments? Tell us a bit about that.
100%, 100%. As you know, Matt, I was such a perfectionist and trying to keep everyone else happy. And I thought that's what
Mm,
would make me happy. And
right.
it was terrifying. I had to have a conversation with my parents. They're like, why are you leaving this full-time job? We get that it's not great pay, or you're not necessarily loving it, but it's stable. And I had to have that conversation with them at 25 years old. And I was like, you know what? Because I realized that I'm doing everything in my life to make you guys happy. But the
Mm,
reality is, all you want is for me to be happy.
yeah.
And it was a vicious cycle. And it was terrifying. It was really scary. But I also knew it was something that hadn't left my mind. And I read a quote one day, something about, um, if it scares you and excites you at the same time, say yes.
Right.
And that's what I did. And it's led me here 3 years later. And it, it's changed my life. It's been honestly
Yeah.
incredible.
It's a really good. I like that quote, and congratulations.
Thank you.
If it scares you and you're excited by it, you should say yes. Because I guess if it scares you, you should say yes. It's like, well, I don't know about that. But
Yeah.
if it scares you and excites you, and I really like that you said that it wouldn't leave your mind. One of the things that I talk to people a lot about is that if you are called to, in your case, it was like, I reckon there's something bigger for me, right? And you're obviously inspired by working with kids with special needs specifically. And if someone else is watching this and they're thinking, you know what, I've had this like idea in my mind, or I've had this kind of thought process, or this whisper in me that's like, why don't you try this out? Or maybe every time you see a speaker, you kind of go, I want to do that. I don't think that actually goes away, right? Like it's just going to be there forever. And you can make two decisions. You can bury that stuff and probably at some point regret it.
Mhm.
Or you can take the risk and be like, all right, and that's where the fear comes from. Let me see what's going to happen. And then everyone's like, what are you doing? And you have to begin in that place. When you had actually made the decision and you're like, okay, I'm doing it. Was it a bit different of a feeling? Was there like a feeling of relief, like in a way, even though you just started, like just the fact that you'd made the decision versus not made the decision?
Yes, absolutely. I remember, I think I had 3 or 4 calls with B before
Right.
I saying yes. And it
Yeah.
wasn't that I
For
didn't know.
anyone else, B is just someone that works here.
Yes, sorry. um, Before saying yes 100%, because of my uncertainty, right? And the
Right.
school and the staff and everyone only ever supported me. They were like, look, if it's not for you, we're still gonna love you. You can still be around, you can still come to different things. Um, and it was that, in the fact that it wasn't just about me saying yes, right? It was yes to my dream, not just yes to the school.
Yeah. That's
And
it.
that was such a key thing, that it wasn't just about the transaction.
Yeah.
It was about me and my life and the impact that I can create.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for the culture and the community that we have here, I wouldn't have said that. I wouldn't have
Yeah.
said yes.
Yeah. It's a powerful thing to share. And I think it's quite important that when people do this, they're not doing it to just do a course.
Mm-mm.
They're doing it because they want to make a difference, or they feel that they could maybe make an impact in the world that's bigger than they want to make right now. And they just want to get equipped to do that, right? There's got to be some kind of reason why. And so I always get sad for people when they say, I just want to get a recognition. Like I just want to get a bit of paper. And like, don't get me wrong, get the recognition, right? Get as many certificates as you want. You've got 3 of them on your wall
Yeah.
behind you. But if you're only doing it for the paper, it's kind of depressing, I think. I've actually said to people before, I'm like, don't do it. Like
Yeah.
if you're just doing this for a bit of paper, like let me write you a note.
Yeah.
Like do it
Yeah.
because you've got something in your heart.
Yeah, 100%. And I remember, it's funny that you say that. I remember when I started, because I was such a perfectionist and like everything had to be right and
Mm.
certain. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get started, and I'm gonna get all of the certificates before I do anything,
Right.
and
Oh
all of
no.
this stuff, right? And then I actually jumped in and did the learnings and the courses and met the people and went, oh, what do you mean I can start helping people right now?
Yeah.
Um, and that was the pivotal point of like, oh, I can do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So, what's been most significant for you as a personal learning? You've got a business now that you love. I know that you're doing a bit of stuff around leadership and helping small businesses and just coaching, general coaching. What's been the most significant thing that you've learned for yourself through that journey?
Good question. There's been so much. I think the biggest breakthrough I've had, the biggest learning I've had that's impacted my entire life,
Yeah.
was the letting go of the perfectionist,
Mm.
of, you know what, it doesn't have to look perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect
Yeah.
for it to be going well.
Yeah.
And that's been my biggest thing, of letting that go so that I can embrace the uncertainty, embrace the risk, embrace the messiness, because that's where the fun is.
Yeah.
And that's throughout all life, right? Like I'm planning a wedding now, which is 6 months from today, which is exciting. And there's so much chaos that comes with it, and I'm loving it.
Yeah.
Rachel
Good
three
on you.
years ago would have hated that.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. How's it changed your relationships?
Well, I wasn't in relationships
Wow.
because it just I wasn't the best self. Like I wasn't my best self. I
So does
didn't.
that mean we can take credit for your wedding?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, I'm doing that.
Do you want to pitch in to pay as well?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Why not? Why not? Why not? Why not? I'll throw in a couple $100.
Perfect.
Congratulations, because and the reason why I asked about relationships is because I know that when we run a pattern around perfectionism, we make it really hard for people to get close to us
Yeah.
because it's so stressful. And I think that the example of the wedding is a great example. I've seen people plan their weddings and it gets chaotic. It gets so stressful. Um, I just got married on the weekend, and
Yeah.
we this was like I was just about to walk out into the church, and I had on suspenders, and I actually didn't put them on until the last minute, and we're doing photos and things like that, and we're putting on the suspenders, and one of the clips broke,
Oh no.
and I'm just thinking to myself, what do you do here? Like there are no other clips.
Yeah.
Like I either don't, and they were kind of like a centerpiece for what I was wearing.
Yeah.
And I was just like looking around the room. I'm like, pass me that and that. And I like makeshifted this thing and just tied them on. And I'm like, let's do it.
Perfect.
And I'm the same as you. I think that before I'd learnt what I'd learnt from coaching, I would have freaked out. I would have got angry at someone. It just there's so much we can take away from what we learn as coaches. Now I want to ask you, for your clients, what do you love about being able to help other people through this stuff? And what do you love about the results that you see your clients get?
Yeah. Without being cliche, it's honestly everything.
Yeah.
Um, their growth in confidence. So as you're saying, I work in business and leadership and all of that, but their personal journey through it, their growth in their confidence, the deeper relationships that they're able to form, the impact that they can then go out and make with their customers in whatever their business is.
Mm.
And the financial results then come with it and follow, but that's not what they're then chasing.
Yeah.
And so the journey from being so results driven to being so journey driven
Right.
in what I do, that is huge in itself, let alone everything that then surrounds them in their self-confidence, in their passions, in their
Yeah.
what they're bringing to then their communities and their families,
Love
and
it.
it's really wonderful.
That's awesome. What would you say to someone who's been inspired by your story and who thinks, wow, I would love to achieve something similar, I can relate, and they're thinking about starting and maybe they're a bit worried about taking that first step and they're nervous and they're thinking, can I even do this? What would you say to someone who's in that position?
I would say you can do this. Believe in yourself just a little tiny bit. There's always a quote that comes out at Christmas, if you can shield the children's ears, of you believed in Santa for however many years, believe in yourself for one moment and say yes, you can do it. Even if you don't think you can help people right now, it's okay, it will come. Say yes for you right now in this moment. And you never know what's going to come from it.
Thank you so much, Rachel. Wonderful.
You're so, so welcome. Thank you for having me.
If this message is resonating with you, then I'd love to invite you to take the next step and book in for what's called a personal success planning session with one of our professional coaches. Making the decision to become a coach and start your journey as a professional coach is a really big decision. There's a lot that goes into it. It's a decision to be able to start a new career, to be able to move forward towards your dreams and your goals, to be able to contribute more, and also to create a life that you truly love, doing what you love. Now, if you'd like some support and some guidance to be able to connect with someone who's actually already been there, who's already done that, who's already made that decision, to have them spend about 30 to 45 minutes with you, helping you get clear on what your goals are, maybe what some of the challenges that you have that will need to help you put together a plan to overcome, so then you can start living your dream as a professional coach. You can do that by clicking the link below. Book yourself in for a personal success planning session with one of our professional coaches today. I look forward to seeing you on the other side.